So you know what's funny about my hair? A lot of
Nothing. It's
things people
beautiful.
would say, but so I wear a hat at night to keep
Uh-huh.
this bouffant
Yeah.
and
Your
mess.
quaff. Yeah.
Yeah, wait till you see it this morning.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
Time to wake up and piss excellence. Sorry, Joe.
Sorry, Joe.
I just had to.
Urinate excellence.
Yeah, there you go.
Excrete excellence.
Yeah, it's through your pores, right? That's how we do it. It is the Audible Week 10. Bloom, can you believe it? Week 10 preview.
Yes.
Not exactly starting out with a banger, but it's Carolina and it's Chicago up first. And in this one, it's like, okay, the Bear side is much more interesting. The Panthers side, much more simple, Bloom. So let's
Yeah.
get through that
Yeah.
so we can talk about potentially the return of Justin Fields.
Right. Well, this game is, I want to point out, first of all, I want to say this is a good moment to promote being in a dynasty league, because when you're out of it in a dynasty league, but you're facing a team and you're holding their first round pick, right? So if you beat them, you make the first round pick that you're holding even more valuable. That's fun. So play dynasty league so you can be in the same position as the Chicago Bears this week. What does Bryce Young do? What does this offense, this coaching staff do coming off of the worst game of his career? And I know it's a short career, but isn't one of the most important things for the arrow to be pointing up coming out of the season? You want to improve. Well, it seems like he's learning something. The coaches are learning something. Everybody's learning how to work together and achieve better results. This is a game the Chicago defense should be one that they should have some success against. Miles Sanders is coming on last week. Does it matter? Poor offense, a split backfield in some fashion. You're probably not looking to this backfield except as desperation plays. Adam Thielen, not a desperation play. It looked like a league winner earlier this year. Last week was his first dud since week 1. And what is he going to do to follow that up? Maybe Jonathan Mingo, you get him going. Your second round pick, Terrace Marshall, it's not happening. DJ Chark's a little banged up. So I think the thing with the Panthers is, okay, you traded next year's first round pick to the team you're playing, and you might not beat that team. You're not favored to beat that team. But can you come out of this game with something, anything to feel good about?
Can Justin Fields play in this game and feel something, anything to feel good about? And that's what we're waiting on. He's expected to play, Bloom. And then we got to get to that backfield, which is a little bit of like, who's going to play? Who's on first? But it's really Fields' return and what that means, what he learned during his time. I know it's Tyson Bagent, right, that he was watching. So this isn't any sort of Andy Dalton, Bryce Young situation on the flip side where, Young kind of learned, hey, maybe Adam Thielen, I should throw to him. And he saw Dalton do it in one game, and then he was fine. Maybe Fields learned a little bit from sitting. Maybe not.
Maybe. Well, this is a big deal. This is a big deal because the quarterback, some 2024 draft stuff. The quarterback, I don't even know if there's truly a consensus. Is it even Caleb consensus number 1 right now after how things have gone this year? Regardless, what was the question as the Bears, thanks to Lovie Smith, ended up with the number 1 pick last year? Should they stick with Justin Fields or should they consider taking a quarterback at number 1? Now, complicating all this is, will Matt Eberflus still be there? He's playing for his job or coaching for his job. Or Ryan Poles, will he even have the decision? More likely that he will. But you might be right back where you were, where you're looking at Justin Fields, now 1 year further into a rookie contract. Is he your franchise quarterback? Or do you take a franchise quarterback? And again, if they win this game, remember, strength of schedule, the Bears aren't going to be good for your strength of schedule. So if you lose to a team that's bad for your strength of schedule, now you're really pushing them even closer to that number 1 pick. So a lot on the line here, and then a lot of potential interesting things showing up later in terms of storylines. Justin Fields has had a couple of limited practices. I think if he plays, we're going to lower his expectations just because it's his first game back. However, I still think he's going to be a boom bust quarterback 1. He's going to help you want to put DJ Moore back in your lineup. Cole Kmet actually has come on with Tyson Bagent. And hey, let's say that Tyson Bagent played well enough that there's not urgency for the Bears to put Justin Fields in. If it's close, let him sit. And maybe the fact this is a Thursday game instead of a Sunday game, could be operative here. It looks like maybe Khalil Herbert's going to be back. I'd say Khalil Herbert has a better chance to play than Justin Fields. He's getting in full practices. If he's in, he's at least a what the heck flex. If he's not in, then Dante Foreman against one of his old teams is a running back too. And Darnell Mooney showing that he's still very good going into free agency. He may have some value here if Justin Fields comes back and plays more like he did in the second half of last season. So for a game between two bad teams on a Thursday night, Cease, in terms of long view of these franchises, interesting stuff.
I don't want to belabor it because it wasn't an interesting game, but you brought up Caleb Williams. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go there. We're in the stupid part of the not even pre-draft because, he wears fingernail polish and he tweets videos. Like, there's so much, like, get off my lawn with Caleb Williams. He's going to be a bust because he paints his nails. Like, there's a lot of stupidity going on right now. So I would urge everyone to have some patience. I think that Drake May is the best. Oh, okay, fine. Enough, buddy. Enough. Like, you're not unique with your take. Like, hey, guys, wait a second. Caleb Williams, like, I'm seeing so many stupid videos, and maybe this is just my rant against social networking in general, Bloom, but like, it's going to work itself out, everybody.
Yeah.
We're not even really in the pre-draft process, and people are calling their shot. I knew Caleb Williams was a bust as soon as I saw his commercial for Maybelline. Give me a flipping break. Sorry, Joe. Anyway. See,
Let's
what
go
I'm
to
fired up
Germany.
about, Bloom. It's not about Carolina and Chicago. Maybe it's about the Colts in New England.
Right.
Maybe not. But anyway, Indianapolis side, we'll continue to watch the emergence of young, talented receivers like a Josh Downs on this team and Jonathan Taylor, fantasy GMs. This one's in New England. Don't know if weather's going to be an issue. NFLweather.com if it is. But, okay, Belichick can take someone away. But what about when he faces the power of Gardner Minshew?
Right. Well, and by the way, this one actually is an early start. I made this mistake in some of my write-ups earlier this week, Cease. It's in Germany. This is another game in Germany.
Yeah. It's another Frankfurt game. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
NFL's worldwide, everybody.
Yeah. And wow. Okay, you get Miami, Kansas City, and then you get Indy and New England.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Sorry about that.
Miami, Kansas City, excitement. Amazing. Indy, New England.
Right.
We're sorry.
It's an NFL game. It's Jonathan Taylor's offense right now. And I think it should be in this game because that you're not worried about the Patriots. They're not going to run away and hide on offense. So I think you're going to see Jonathan Taylor 25 touches or maybe more in this one. Michael Pittman should be an okay play. It's going to be short, safe targets like it was last week. Remember, last week they had an easy win over Carolina. The defense outscored the offense. We may see something similar this week, or at least something where they're not going to take chances on offense. Josh Downs, haven't heard anything about his knee yet, but he went in questionable with the knee, left with the same injury. I don't think we're going to see him in this one. And that's it. All they really need to win this game is just not turn the ball over, honestly. And I know Gardner Minshew, but Gardner Minshew also can reel it in and go ahead and be a safe quarterback like he was last week. And I will say, Cease, in contrast to New England, in contrast to Carolina, the Colts have to feel good about where they are in their franchise arc in the Shane Steichen era, right? This was a year that was going to be chalked up. Now, it hurts that Anthony Richardson's not developing and learning on the job, but you got the Jonathan Taylor stuff worked out. There's some interesting things going on. This is a really young, inexperienced defense. So this team has been more competitive than expected. Shane Steichen looks like he's not in over his head as an NFL head coach, while Bill Belichick does seem like he's in over his head as an NFL head coach right now.
Just go to Vegas. Just go to Vegas, right, Bill? Right?
Isn't that what everybody
Retire.
does? I
in
used
the
to tell
desert.
people, if I ever tell you I'm moving to Vegas, that means, it's almost like I'm hanging myself or something. Vegas is where you go when you have no other place left to go.
Right. My sister is a social worker in Vegas, so
She's needed. She's
Yeah,
doing God's
yeah.
work.
oh God. And she never talks about her work. And one time I was like, tell me about your work. And she started talking. I was like, stop, please. Like, I play in the sandbox of life. I don't want to think about real stuff. Let's think about
Right.
the real New England Patriots. Some segues are better than others, Bloom, but Demario Douglas? Hey, Germany, you get to see 7-Eleven. Do they have 7-Elevens in Germany? I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they have something. I think over there they have like the convenience stores. Back when I was over in that part of the world, like 20 some years ago, it was like the vending machines where they have hot food in the vending machine.
Okay.
How would it go? And for fantasy, this is Ramondre Stevens had a long touchdown last week on the ground, did well with his gains as a receiver. He's back in as a running back too. Demario Douglas is a PPR wide receiver 3 flex. Maybe Juju, who did the most with his limited snaps, about 1/3 of the time, led the team in catches. So you've got that going on. But really, you mentioned your sister and social worker. Could you imagine Belichick sitting down with a social worker? Like, what's wrong? Offense. Just, it's like talking to girls. I feel awkward. I don't understand it. I know it's important, but everything I tried backfires. This team, he needs somebody on the offensive side that actually is as big an influence on the team as he is, and that's impossible. So I think we are seeing the clock start to tick, whether it's this year or not, on the Belichick Patriots.
Yeah, the clock is ticking, and now we get to something exciting, Bloom. I apologize for the first 11 minutes of the show, because Houston could beat Cincinnati. I don't think they will, but just the fact that we can say that sentence, like Houston, CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, another great AFC quarterback rivalry that could be brewing. Like, don't let me down, Houston. I think it was Lance Zierlein. And if you talk about like a perfect human, right?
I know.
If we talk about like shirt
Role
off your back
models
type guys, right? Like, I'm a scoundrel. Bloom, you have some scoundrel tendencies, but you're nicer than
I'm a little wicked.
Lance Zierlein is like, he's like Daniel Jeremiah, right? There's just some Charles Davis, there's just some like perfect gentleman out there that like I want to emulate that guy. I saw Lance, somebody tweeted about like a new goat is born last week with CJ Stroud, and he tweeted out like a little baby goat gif or something, GIF, something. Anyway, but Houston and Cincinnati, it's excitement with and not just on the Bengals side, which is normally where we get the excitement, Bloom.
No, this is exciting. You want to talk about emotional scars? I always see when I see Houston, Cincinnati. I remember that one time I put money on Brian Hoyer to win in the playoffs out at the Football Guys retreat in Las Vegas.
You must have been drinking.
Among other things. So let's see what's next. CJ Stroud, he had a rough time coming out of the bye against the Panthers and then put on an absolute show last week against the Bucs. This team is very much in the playoff hunt. And if you look at the playoff picture in the AFC right now, I think it's definitely Baltimore and Jacksonville and Kansas City. And we'll see. It's pretty open. It's a pretty wide open playoff picture. So this is absolutely, Cease, if you look at the rest of their schedule, this is probably the toughest game they have left. And this is a quality win that would say, hey, NFL, you're on notice. The running game is not putting anyone on notice. You would think with how well Stroud is playing that Bobby Slope would figure out how to leverage that into some success in the running game. We'll see. You want to play probably in this order. I'd play Tank Dell, Nico Collins, then Noah Brown. But they're all wide receiver 3 flex types. This is a tough matchup. The Bengals are a good pass defense, an experienced pass defense. And Cam Taylor-Britt, that guy is a budding star. The star of this passing game is Dalton Schultz. And I want to mention that Dalton Schultz reportedly, I don't know if it's true or not, he turned down a long-term deal from the Cowboys. He took a 1-year prove-it deal. He's proven it. He's proven it in fantasy leagues. He's proven it as maybe the favorite target for CJ Stroud.
No, well, where would you want to go? Where Jerry's hanging around your locker room? Or where Joe Burrow is doing this to you, right?
Right.
Burrows,
Or
come here, over here. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Oh, sorry, Joe Burrow. I got Joe Burrow on the mind. I need some more coffee. So let's talk about the Joe Burrow side of things. In Cincinnati, Jamar Chase owners are like, can I have some more, please? Yeah, sure. And against Houston at home, it might be there for the Bengals.
Yeah, the Houston defense, not necessarily the strength. Joe Burrow peaking right now as a fantasy quarterback. Also, Joe Mixon peaking along with him as a fantasy running back. Jamar Chase had a back injury, seemed to slow him down and bother him a little bit after it happened. And they asked him about the injury. He said, "I'm alive." Well, okay. This is like Kyle Shanahan. We could all be dead in a week. Okay. Maybe especially from a DFS standpoint, maybe T. Higgins is the play here. Higgins getting back to full snaps last week, led the team in catches and yards. By the way, did you notice that the tight ends for this team, when you think Bengals, you think tight ends, right? 10 catches, I think well over 100 yards and a touchdown. Now split between 3 players, Tanner Hudson, Drew Sample, the blocking tight end, and Irv Smith, which makes Tyler Boyd not as great of a play. Or at the very least, it makes it so even when Joe Burrow's throwing for 300 yards, you might not have both of the wide receivers posting big games. I say both because Tyler Boyd, I think this is cutting into his production, although at least he averaged almost 19 yards a catch on his 3 catches last week. But yeah, for the Bengals and Cecil, I think this continues to underscore how when we were talking about the Bengals week 2, week 3, this was a lost season. And I know I hyperbole takes, I have them. But it looked like if you're putting Burrow out there and he can't even protect himself and he's not effective, what are we doing here? What we're doing here is maybe headed to being one of the favorites to go back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Houston, again, don't let me down. Jason must be new. He's like, looks like you just woke up. Welcome to the show. Hopefully you stick around. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell before you're out of here. Appreciate you. Appreciate you all. Saints in Minnesota. Oh, the interesting Taysom Hill takes and the Taysom Hill rules and how. Now, are we not aware of this? I've gotten messages about like league drama because Taysom Hill can score. You didn't. Your rules aren't prepared for this already. Anyway, you should be prepared if you're Minnesota for a heavy dose of one Taysom Hill.
Yes, indeed. They figured it out. Like we've been talking about, good things happen when Taysom Hill's on the field. This is your first place team in the NFC South. Don't we want to see some playoff Taysom Hill? We want to see some playoff Taysom Hill. I do want to say, I'm not going to say which fantasy football platform did this, but I myself drafted Taysom Hill as a tight end in July. And when I went and looked at my roster in September, he was a quarterback, not a quarterback / tight end.
Really?
That's no bueno.
That's
no.
Man.
That's dirty pool. Whatever the position eligibilities are when you draft is what they should stay during the season. You may add to that. You can get more position eligibility, but you should never get less. Anyway, that's my fantasy football rant brought to you by Rolaids or Mylanta or whatever. Taysom Hill, 3 good weeks in a row. Now, he's an elite fantasy tight end over the last 3 weeks, and he's doing it every possible way. It's like trick shots or something. Remember that Bird and Michael Jordan off the glass,
the McDonald's commercial.
Yeah. That's Taysom Hill. Like, okay, this week I'm going to be at fantasy tight end. I'm going to throw a touchdown and I'm going to catch a touchdown and lead the team in rushing. Next week I'm going to score 2 touchdowns. By the way, this is a horrible memories game for Saints fans. Stephon Diggs, the Minneapolis Miracle. There are some demons to exercise. Derek Carr, all the demons for him to exercise are back in Las Vegas. He's feeling good. Maybe a playoff quarterback. He's a quarterback 2 super flex. By the way, Tua, Mahomes, Hurts, all on bye this week. If you're looking for a waiver wire quarterback to plug into your lineup, this is a pretty good one. Chris Olave, solid. You're not getting the ceiling games you were hoping for. You occasionally get the ceiling games from Rashid Shaheed. And with Juwan Johnson back, who caught 5 balls and a touchdown last week, maybe that's curtains for Michael Thomas's fantasy relevance because they kind of occupy a similar place in the offense. Remember, they had Juwan Johnson. Derek Carr himself said, study Julian Edelman's tape. So, yeah, maybe Juwan Johnson being back is bad for Michael Thomas having those layup targets. And Alvin Kamara is still in your lineup now between Juwan Johnson and Taysom Hill and Chris Olave and so on. There's not a lot as much. You're not seeing, hey, Derek Carr is running a functional pass offense now. He's not having to pass the ball to Alvin Kamara 15 times. Taysom Hill scoring touchdowns. Okay, he's throwing touchdowns. He's running in touchdowns. He's catching touchdowns. So Alvin Kamara is not, and Kendry Miller is doing something finally. Jamal Williams is back. you're still keeping Alvin Kamara in, at least as a running back 2. And what you hope is, while he's going to get fewer touches, the quality of those touches, the efficiency goes up, because this looks like, hey, Pete Carmichael actually has a functional offense now. And Minnesota has, well, the story of the NFL.
Minnesota has the Pastronaut,
Yeah.
the egghead quarterback, the smartest man on the planet. I was thinking about Josh Dobbs the other day. It seems like I'm constantly thinking about him, Bloom. And I was like, damn, he's so smart. Why does he play football? Like, don't hurt your brain. Like, I'm serious.
Yeah, right?
Like,
no, it's
do
true.
not hurt your brain. That precious
Right.
brain. Like, please don't hurt your brain. Because it's like, wow, he could be in the space station or a trip to Mars whenever we're going to do that.
Solve
I often
world
thought
hunger.
we would be to Mars by the time we were this age, Bloom. You're
I
close.
thought we have
enough to my age.
jetpacks. There's that band, We Were Promised Jetpacks.
I know. I thought I'd be flying around like Boba Fett, flying into the skiff in Return of the Jedi. Anyway, let's talk about Minnesota. Let's talk about Josh Dobbs. He's got a jetpack for this offense.
Yeah.
And, well, we know who's the leader in the backfield now. And also the return of Justin Jefferson soon enough.
Yeah.
Soon enough. So put a pin in that one, baby.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's big about the Joshua Dobbs story, is it creates enough hope around this team still in the playoff hunt.
Oh, yeah.
That, of course, Justin Jefferson's going to come back. What a story. And it's kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick, Cecil. Long after many players who maybe had higher peaks in their career than Ryan Fitzpatrick, certainly higher peaks in their career than Joshua Dobbs, have faded in our memories. We'll remember Dobbs. We'll remember him. And he's got a chance to do more things to help us remember him. And it's a tough matchup against the Saints, but he's still a quarterback 2 super flex for this week, and a bye week coverage quarterback with his running ability. Madison is still a very low end running back 2, but like you said, with Cam Akers not out there now with another torn Achilles, the other one. Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, another important thing about Joshua Dobbs, he keeps their value in your lineup, as opposed to, say, where Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were with Brett Rippon. And KJ Osborne, we'll see if he plays. That's another reason why you might feel a little better playing Addison, playing Hawkins, and even Madison getting receptions. And yeah, this is a matchup with playoff implications, and a fun matchup because of Taysom and the Pastronaut.
Yes. Gonna be a fun one. If you check out footballguys.com, you want to support the show. We don't do any silly super chats. You leave a comment. When I get to it, I'm likely to put it on the screen. So we just appreciate you guys for coming out and hanging out with us and making fun of my hair. Anyway, I'm fine, baby. Like, I never thought in 2023, Bloom, that a grown man growing out his hair would spark such like controversy or comments. But I'm like, get down how you get down, baby. Like, it's okay. You'll be all right. I'll be all right. Anyway,
all publicity is good publicity, Cecil.
Exactly. Let's check out footballguys.com. We got 4 games down. We got 3 games to go, including Green Bay and Pittsburgh. And, well, I was talking to a Yinzer like you, Bloom, yesterday out at Broncos. And he was like, somehow they keep on doing it. He used the we term. Somehow we keep on doing it. Well, this one's at home for the Steelers. We got to talk Packers side first. So if the Steelers are going to just go do it, they got to deal with the UTEP 2-step in Aaron Jones.
Right. This is a little bit of a Spider-Man meme type game, right? Good defense, pass rush, run the ball, don't turn the ball over, keep your limited quarterback limited in his influence on the game, right? This is a game that the Steelers are built to win, which means they probably won't win it. Because it's the Steelers, they play down to their opponents. But yeah, I think as we're talking about fantasy on the Green Bay side, there's not a lot here. Aaron Jones back in your lineup getting his full workload. Maybe Luke Musgrave. The linebackers are banged up. The safeties are banged up. I think Luke Musgrave could be a good play here. We're going to watch and see if Christian Watson can play with his multiple ailments. But even if he can, you're not playing him. Even if he can't, you're not playing Romeo Doubs or Jaden Reed. Not that it's possible. It's possible. It's the Steelers. So if the pass rush doesn't get home, you never know. But I do know that you don't want to have the Packers in your lineup. You might want to have the Steelers defense in your lineup for this one.
Yeah, might have that Steelers defense run around after Jordan Love, and then offensively, I don't know. When CJ Stroud, see, we're living in a Stroud world, Bloom.
Yep.
Stroud has more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett. It's week 10. Stroud's a rookie.
Right.
And the problem, as I was talking to fellow Yinzer, or Yinzer like you, I can't say
Yeah.
I'm a Yinzer Bloom. Anyway, I was like, it only reinforces Mike Tomlin, who's the
Sure.
coolest and most loyal guy on the planet. That's fine. But you keep winning. It just means Matt Canada, like,
Sure.
they're going to keep this up, Bloom. It's disappointing and discouraging.
Yeah, it is from a standpoint of the ceiling for this team. But really, even if you pick your favorite offensive genius, I don't know, Lincoln Riley or something, right? Even if he was running the Steelers offense, would it be that much better? Can Kenny Pickett really make it that much better? I don't know. This team is going to be a defense team. They're going to be a running game team. Deontay Johnson, lots of safe, short, intermediate targets getting open. Najee Harris, you hope for a touchdown in this one. He's in as a running back to flex. Jaylen Warren, we don't have to hope for him to have explosive plays. He does it every week. The Steelers continue to have him in a complementary role. But again, you go out, if you don't turn the ball over, you're Kenny Pickett, don't turn the ball over, Steelers offense, you should win this game and keep yourself in that very muddled AFC playoff picture.
Hey, but they're in it and Buffalo's not. The playoffs started today. Save that for part 2. Tennessee and Tampa Bay, and I honestly can't believe Mike Vrabel did it. I honestly can't, Bloom, because Mike Vrabel, old school, smash mouth, all the hard nose, whatever you want to use for Mike Vrabel. But I thought for sure, okay, Will Levis looks like the guy you should stick with, and you should start with him, and you should continue on with Will Levis because you have Ryan Tannehill. But I thought Mike Vrabel would be like, you know what? We're going back to the veteran.
Right.
Wally Pipp, meet Ryan Tannehill, because Will Levis is starting probably from here on out.
Yeah.
And to that, Bloom, I say good. So we get a data point this week against Tampa Bay. How does Will Levis look running the show?
Yeah, isn't it funny how if it's a first-round quarterback, everybody is saying, when is he going to be the starter? When is he going to be the starter? If it's a second-round quarterback, even one that many people had in the first round, it's, oh, look at that. They're going to start him. They're going to make him the starter. Right? Just perception, all skewed by draft status. But Will Levis is showing that maybe the negative takes on him, the takes that were looking more at last year instead of 2 years ago, were the ones that do need to be walked back. And you saw him against a tougher Steelers pass rush. Still enough success. Tampa, sort of similar to the Steelers, where you can hang in there against the rush, then you're going to find guys open downfield. Like DeAndre Hopkins, he's got to be in your lineup. And of course, even though this is a very tough run defense, Vita Vea, meet Derrick Henry. That's fun. That's something that should be like on the WrestleMania undercard, right? I want to see that battle, and you'll get to see that one in this game. But Derrick Henry's got to be in your lineup, and otherwise you're not playing anybody from this offense. Will Levis has some bye week coverage appeal. Certainly, quarterback 2 super flex. If you picked him up, he has some appeal with those 3 good quarterbacks on bye. But speaking of all this playoff picture, and hey, if Tennessee can go to Tampa and win this game, Mike Vrabel says we're still alive. We're still overachieving. Tampa's overachieving. Baker's overachieving. They're a game and a half out. And again, that last second loss to Houston, looming big here. But this team still can entertain the idea of winning the division, hosting a playoff game again. Winning this game is important.
Yeah, winning this game is important, and Baker Mayfield winning is important to him. I think Chris Godwin fantasy GMs are like, more, please. Kate Otten fantasy GMs are like, yeah, more, please, more.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool. And if you have Rachaad White, are you happy?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Rachaad White leading off there, because he had the 2 games in a row before last week where he was at least catching 6 or 7 balls, averaging about 10 yards a catch. Even if you weren't in a PPR league, he was delivering running back 2 value. Remember, you were drafting him as a running back 3. So really, if Rachaad White at any point made you feel comfortable putting him in your lineup, that's a hit for fantasy. And he's done that over the last 3 weeks. Tennessee has a tough run defense, but you like how he's riffing with Baker. And like you said, you love how Kate Otten, who has 3 straight games with at least 6 targets, 3 straight games with at least 4 catches, 25 receiving yards, the 2 touchdowns last week. And you mentioned Godwin and Otten right next to each other, and maybe it is Otten getting those safer targets instead of Godwin. Not that you're putting Godwin on the bench. Targets are still there for Godwin, not as much production. It's Mike Evans who's been the hit out of the two. If you were saying, people are going a little too far with this, Baker's going to ruin everyone's value. Again, Baker isn't ruining this team's value or this offense's value, and this team is not dead yet. And I, for one, am enjoying this new chapter of Baker Mayfield's career.
Yeah, see what's next. What is next? Office Depot asks us a question, Bloom. I'm just looking at the time. You can tell we're in mid-season form because usually, like week 1 preview show, how long is that? Like an hour and a half when we do a half of a slate, and then now we're like 30 minutes. We got one game left. I apologize.
Yeah.
We're being brief. Giving you the information that you need. We appreciate you all. But since Office Depot asked, let's answer. Dynasty PPR trade question. Is this deal fair? Is life fair? Office Depot. Saquon and Marquise for Kyler and Dobbs. Thank you.
Yeah. I think in a super flex league, quarterback is king, and Kyler is still the main piece you want here. Marquise Brown is interesting going into free agency. Saquon, I'm afraid. So I think that Saquon Barkley is going to be a player that we're going to say we never really got to see him play at his peak for a sustained period, whether it's because of his teammates or because of injuries. I'm afraid we may have already seen the best of Saquon Barkley in his career. So I'm not afraid to part with him to get the jewel in a dynasty superflex there, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got one game left to go in the Week 10 preview, part 1 here on the Audible. It's footballguys.com. It's the 49ers, and it's Jacksonville. And, okay, San Francisco. I'm watching the practice status of Debo. It looks like he's going to be back, Bloom.
Yeah.
Is that correct? I mean, we're recording Wednesday morning for
he
whenever
said he was going to be back. He told Kay Adams he's going to be back.
Okay, there you go. Well, if you tell our friend Kay, who loves her some Sigmund Bloom, that's for sure. Every time I talk to Kay, she's like, how's Sigmund?
It's been a while. We used to do together.
Sigmund?
I can't remember who it was. With SiriusXM, she was in a 3-person booth, and I did a spot with them at like 11:30. It was like late night, Sorry Joe plus kind of spot.
Oh, you're so nice, Bloom. Somebody asked me to do a show at 11:30. I'd be like, no.
Wrong number.
I'm playing PUBG. Anyway, San Francisco side, waiting on the info with Debo. All right. Waiting on Purdy to play better football?
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
for sure.
This one's interesting. It's the Balky Bowl. Remember, Trent Baalke was one of the architects of the 49ers that made it to the power outage Super Bowl. Again, if you say there was a power outage at the Super Bowl, you don't have to guess. You only need one guess. What city did that Super Bowl happen in? And also, it had some sort of, change. Like the game was completely different when the lights came back on. Baltimore held on to win that one. That's the one that got Joe Flacco paid. The Balky Bowl. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Cecil, because I can do this because it's fun. And it's okay if you don't know because I had to look up the answer. One player that Trent Baalke drafted is still on San Francisco.
Trent Williams. No. One player that Trent Baalke drafted is still on San Francisco.
And he's not obscure, obviously. I mean, he's...
Yeah. Who is it?
Eric Armstead.
Okay. I was going to the defensive line, but I was like, he didn't do Bosa. Yeah. I should have thought Armstead. Yeah.
And they took Buckner in 2016, traded him to... That was not Trent Baalke who traded away. And it was not Trent Baalke who gave Eric Armstead that extension either. But Trent Baalke now doing things as an architect of Jacksonville. Fun game here. Really fun game. Just on a basic level. Both of these teams coming out of their bye. And they have to be feeling so different, right? Like you said, Brock Purdy, you wonder, this is like Drew Lock and Geno Smith, whenever the team loves the backup quarterback more than we do. How many more miscues? How many more games where the team underperforms? How many more losses? Did I mention that the 49ers went into the bye on a 3-game losing streak? Did I mention that?
Right.
So in some ways, that's a well-timed bye because you have a chance to take a step back and see what's been going wrong. But in other ways, go ahead, Cecil.
Well, let's do 49ers radio then. Is this Purdy's last stand?
Well, I mean, we'll see. It depends on how it goes down and so on. I think that certainly we are past the 0% chance that Darnold replaces a healthy Purdy. Now, what does it take to get there? That's a much bigger question and variable. This game will be part of that, but Deebo Samuel being back, Christian McCaffrey with his oblique issue now had a chance to rest it. George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, all these guys are going to be on lineup. Even Purdy. Purdy is a preferred bye week option. Maybe even you get him in if you're going to attack Jacksonville, you're going to attack them through the air. But what are the adjustments? And not just adjustments in X's and O's, not just figure out how to help Brock Purdy play better, but emotionally, what are the adjustments? Knowing that this is a team that had Super Bowl aspirations. After they beat Dallas, I think people were putting them in the Super Bowl, and now they have to start winning some games or they're not even going to make the playoffs.
You heard it. So get it right, San Francisco. You're better than this. Jacksonville, I feel, is the sleeping giant, Bloom. Like when we talk postseason football, because they've already been there. And they beat up on the Chargers last year. So been there, done that. Isn't that a Dr. Dre song? I think it was a line from Ring Ding Dong. I'm getting sing-songy, Bloom. Let's talk Jacksonville. Who is that sleeping giant? Do they wake up against the 49ers?
Yeah, this team, on the other hand, Cease, this team goes into the bye on 4 straight wins. 4 straight wins. And
they haven't even played their best football yet.
Right. So they are going in feeling good. Now, Zay Jones is not feeling good, not practicing out of the bye. And we don't like Trevor Lawrence as much as a fantasy quarterback when he doesn't have Zay Jones. I think that early opens up this passing game, and it's his number one option in the red zone. So it might not be, unless if you think San Francisco is going to come out of the bye really strong on offense and force Jacksonville and force Trevor Lawrence to take more chances, then maybe you like Lawrence this week. But it's not a ceiling game for him. It's more of a Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram game, as you should see Travarius Ward on Calvin Ridley. And we've seen it. Look, if it's there with Ridley, Lawrence is going to take those chances downfield, but they're not going to force it. There's no Ridley ratio for this offense. It's fine, short, safe passing to Kirk Ingram and a lot of Travis Etienne, who's rested now, and 25 touches. This is the same thing we were talking about with Jonathan Taylor. Travis Etienne is probably going to touch the ball almost as many times as Trevor Lawrence throws it. And this is a good one. This is a really interesting game, and one that is the classic springboard or stumbling block game for the 49ers.
Yeah, let's see what happens there. See what happens when we talk about the part 2 of the Week 10 preview. That's coming up on tomorrow's program. Look at you, Bloom. You're all smiles today. Who do you have on the couch?
Derek Brown.
Louisiana
good. Love. I think he's in the Metroplex in Texas now, and then he'll be recording with the guru himself, John Norton, the IDP Blitz for IDP fans out there, and getting some good feedback on the new format for the waiver wire report. Thanks, everybody. You all are the kindest and most understanding audience and people that we can serve. So we always look forward to it. We're always smiles on the inside, at least.
Now allowing for what, a half 6 pence, right?
Right. I can get down into decimals now with decimals, and it's good. I'll say shout out to Simon and Sam Bryant. Yeah, you may recognize the last name Bryant. Sam Bryant, who is like a total coding jock now, which is awesome. Keeping it all in the family and making some changes. As someone who works in this internet, Google. See, so I'm going to tell everyone a secret. Maybe every now and then I might Google myself. Maybe. No, that doesn't.
Well, I get the email updates every day if someone mentions
this is where
name.
You were mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I have really low self-esteem, and every now and then I would find something that actually would make me feel good about myself. Like, wow, they actually said something nice about me. So every now and then I'll look at it. Google is now officially, they call me an internet personality. It says Sigmund Bloom, internet personality. That's what happened to me. Like when they do the thing at the end of the movie where they flash forward, Sigmund Bloom became an internet personality. And when you're an internet personality and you have people like Simon and Sam that are doing things to make your job easier, they're actually asking you, what would make your job easier? How do you use this? Can we make it better? That's a joy. That's a real blessing. So shout out to them.
Part of being an internet personality is getting allowed to be a personality.
Yeah, waking up with that hair and just getting right on camera like it's okay or something.
Hey, I did put this jacket on. Jason, our pot stoner degenerate in Greeley, thought it was Evil Knievel. Do the kids know about Evil Knievel, Bloom?
They should. They should.
What if I told you there was a guy who rode a motorcycle, who drank all the time, who broke every bone in his body, and then kept riding a motorcycle to break bone in his body and drink all the time?
Yeah. And captured the imagination of America. My sister wanted to be Evel Knievel when we were little. I think she came up with some Evel Knievel type stunts for herself.
On a BMX bike, I trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the story always comes to mind is the time we were in a neighborhood and they had a pickup football game. And she wanted to be the quarterback and they wouldn't let her because she was a girl. So she beat up the quarterback.
Oh, that is awesome. That is incredible. I had an enforcer in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was a freshman anyway, because when you're a freshman, you're just like subhuman.
Mm-hmm.
But my sister Marlita, who is the Child Protective Services worker in Vegas now, she would like go around. If anyone would mess with her, she'd go around and beat them up.
Were you Marlita's brother? Was that like did you not have a name? Were you,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I was Lori's brother. I was it's Lori's brother. Yeah.
But they knew not to mess with you, right?
Oh,
because Lori was going to beat up the quarterback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right. Is that a wrap?
I think so. We got 7 more games. You know, we're on that back 9. It's nice. You take a little break. I was a caddy. That was one of my first jobs. And when you got to the end of the 9th hole and you got to get a little bit of a breather, maybe even if the person was nice, they get you like a Coke and some, little snack crackers or something like that. You work hard for your $12. The most important thing was not to laugh whenever they duffed the ball and only went like 10 yards off the tee, because that's going to hurt your pay. But we're on the back 9 now.
Okay, I like that. You were a caddy? I didn't know that, but we've been doing the show 18 years, and you've never.
I had about every job.
Did you have the special rolled cigarettes, quote unquote, for your guys in their
I didn't know anything.
bags?
I didn't know anything about that back then. I was just trying to not mess anything up. I was just trying to not. I wasn't actually a golfer, but it was one of the jobs you could get when you were like 12 years old. Mm-hmm. So I do remember one time there was a tremendous fight where 2 of the caddies fought after like everyone's round was over. We went across 40, the good old National Pike, and it was in front of a statue. And Brian Keterakis. What's up, the Keterakises? Those were that was one of the great athlete families of Bentleyville. Like the Keterakises were making sure that our teams were competitive. And that was probably the memory that stood out the most from my time. That and going around and getting a penny a ball to pick up all the balls from the driving range.
Okay. It's good work if you can get it. Yeah. He's Sigmund Bloom. He's at work right now as internet personality. I'm Cecil Lammey. I don't know what I am. We will talk to y'all tomorrow about 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Sorry, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And yes, that means I will be waking up. I usually am up working until 2 or 3 in the morning. So I don't know why I have to justify that. I could sleep 12 hours a day. Like whatever. We're here for you. We're doing it. Let's go do it. Check out footballguys.com. You love the show? Help us. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And if you've commented in the chat room, is it this side or this side? This side? Whatever. If you've commented in the chat room, make sure to leave a comment down below, please. That helps out the YouTube algorithm, and we are forever grateful to you. He's Sigmund. You follow him on Twitter, at Sigmund Bloom. The show is at The Audible. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying thanks as always. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty.